We are live. This is Travis from Carter Cow Capital, Travis on YouTube, and Expert Advisor Reviews on YouTube. This is another episode 282 of Trade with Travis. Hope everybody's doing very well on this Monday morning as we go through and be able to take a look at some trading activities and some overall um, opportunities and pairs of being able to get into. What I would like to be able to do is make sure we go through the disclaimer and make sure I end up saying hopefully everybody ends up having a good trading week. Let's go ahead and go through the disclaimer and then after that we'll get everything else situated. I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you what to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education. And from that education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. And I understand that trading involves risk. It involves risk of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you end up making money today. So with that being said, as we go through and be able to take a look at the overall pairs, what I'm going to do is take a look at the economic calendar. If you are not familiar with what I end up doing, or this is your first time being here, one, thank you for being able to watch. What we end up doing is taking a look at, we end up taking a look at U.S. based pairs. Um, we end up taking a look at indexes. We end up taking a look at gold. We end up taking a look at oil. The reason why we do those is because it gives us a better chance of being able to know what's happening with the overall market and um, the overall direction of what's happening with the market. So um, here we go. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening today. Today's the 24th. Today is I think it's the last week of trading in April, I believe. I might be wrong because we might have let's see, let's see, what Monday would be the 31st, or Monday to be the first. So yes, it is the last trading week of April. Okay, what's going on, Block? So typically, what happens in the last week is that we're just making up and recovering what's done happened over the course of the last 3 weeks. Um, if we're being very honest, April is typically a month where the market doesn't move all that much, and you end up having a lot of consolidation. And it seems like it kind of remained to be that way. It wasn't. We had some big spikes in certain directions, but um, it wasn't necessarily a large moving month. We had a big spike. The market kind of moved into its own direction, kind of froze a little bit, and then stopped. So if you're a person that ends up trading consolidation, then you probably might have had a great week or a great month. If you're a person that kind of trades continuation and breakouts and everything else like that, you might have been kind of spotty this month when it came down to trading. But here we go. U.S. dollar from a weekly standpoint is starting to build out of consolidation. And the one thing that we end up talking about from a long-term position, I've been kind of showing us for a while, based off of the weekly, is that I'm going to make this line instead of purple. Now I'm going to make this magenta. So the market is holding above this magenta line. This magenta line has been a long-term trend line that we've been kind of building out since February of 21. And essentially, what's going to happen is that the market has got away from this and then fell right back down and kind of bounced off of this overall level. So 12,800 is really a major support, and it's basically connecting to the overall trend line, long-term trend line when it comes down to movement. Now we're still in consolidation overall when it comes down to movement as well. If we take a look at what's happening with the daily, we can see that we're basically near support when it comes down to this overall movement. So this is something that I would end up paying attention to about. Okay, if we're this close, are we gonna find um, are we gonna find that 12,720 right around at 12,720 to 12,800 area, if that's going to end up being major support? And if that is going to be major support, then we actually should start looking at being able to buy around this area and looking for a pop up of a movement. If it's going to fall down, then obviously it has to break that counter trend line break. I mean, it has to break that this overall purple trend line to the downside. And if it does, then obviously we're looking at some overall movement to the downside that we can be able to pay attention to. And I think that may end up happening for the rest of the year if that's the overall case. Currently, right now, all I'm saying is consolidation. And with consolidation means that there's not momentum. If there's no momentum, then that means that there's really no trade to be able to take. So, with that being said, starting off early in the morning, There's really nothing to be able to do off of this overall movement. We have tight consolidation, which means that going into today, I think that we're going to see some type of movement in one direction. I think that there's going to end up being a pop. The question is, what direction is that pop going to end up taking us to? So we just have to pay attention to that a little bit later on today. We're not going to get that much information this morning because there's really no momentum this morning when it comes down to movement. But if I had to bank, I would bank that the market um, would somewhat probably fall down to support first, and then after that, we'll probably see a movement to the upside or to the downside from there. So United States dollar, nothing to be able to pay attention to, at least right now. Um, oil, we end up talking about this long-term consolidation where the market has been within 82.50 down to $70 a barrel. We end up saying once the market got up to 82.50 last week, um, if you was interested in being able to sell inside of consolidation, that'd be a great area to be able to do. And we said that if you're going to get out at the halfway point because the market has already done hit this overall resistance more than 3 times. And if you end up doing that, then quite frankly, you probably would have cashed out earlier today, or at least on Friday when it came down to movement as it moved to the halfway point. Now the thing is, um, what type of swing are we going to end up getting? Are we going to end up getting a swing to the upside and continue and have a continuation of movement to the upside, or are we going to see this market kind of fall down to support and go all the way down to $70 per barrel? If I'm doing a game plan off of this one, I would set aside and know that I'd be interested in being able to probably do strategy 4, which means that I'm interested in being able to buy the market goes down to support, and then look at being able to take it all the way up to 82.50 and then hopefully further beyond. Until then, I wouldn't look at being able to do any type of movement right now because I want to see what direction it's going to end up being. We're in the middle of this large consolidation. That consolidation has been the same since 2 years ago. So at this point, if you're trading inside of this area, you're not going to make any money. You're not going to make any substantial money. So just stay away from it and just kind of keep your eyes ready for it once it ends up making its move. Um, let's take a look at gold. Uh, Gold from a standpoint of, okay, well, I'm interested in being able to take a trade once we end up getting a counter trend line break and kind of pushing up to the upside. I set up an idea for being able to trade when the market ended up breaking above 2000, trying to get out of 2070. What ended up happening was that the market ended up pushing up. I'm actually down on this one. Uh, Market actually ended up pushing up, uh, getting us into the trade. Um, and from there, just automatically going down on the drawdown. Now, stop loss is at 1960. Currently, right now, the price is at 1984. If we're going to keep on seeing that the United States dollar index is going to end up being weak, then we should see that gold should start to keep on popping up to the upside. If you did not take a trade on this one, what I'll end up doing is waiting for this counter trend line break to be broken to the upside. Then after that, look at possibly being able to get back in. We got to keep in mind that the United States dollar overall is weak and both of them are in consolidation. So it may not necessarily, going back again, when it comes down to momentum, may not necessarily have the biggest pop of movement. But when it does move, I think that we're going to end up getting some further direction to be able to pay attention to. So right now, gold, I'm looking for an upside move. We're still in this trade right now, down on this one right now, but um, I would like to be able to see. Hopefully, we can be able to get a second chance to be able to get back in based off of the counter trend line break before its movement. Bitcoin, Bitcoin took a little bit of a breather. Um, we were talking about being interested in being able to jump in if the market ended up giving us a counter trend line break and held above 29,000. Obviously, we can see that did not happen. We take a look at what's happening with the daily off of this movement. Currently, the daily is back inside of the buy zone, something to be able to pay attention to when it comes down to that. But there's two areas where I'm going to end up kind of being weary about if this market breaks. The support, the previous support was at 26,530. So let's say 26,500, 550, somewhere around there. We end up here. Oh, excuse me. We end up being a new area of support that we got to see if it's going to end up remaining to be above. If it doesn't remain to be above that one, then we're saying that I'm saying that the market could fall all the way back down to 25,000. If it doesn't hold at 27.5. Now, 27.5 has not been a area where you've seen a lot of people get into the market and actually kind of make U-turns. So we can see that this was an area of low volume right here. We see that was an area of low volume at the time when the market actually failed this time last year, right here. And currently, right now, we see that we're in the middle of this overall movement. But typically, there's really no fight in this area. So I think that personally, that even though I would love to be able to get in at 27.5, I think that the market is going to continue to fall and try to find support first before being able to push up. That means to me that I expect the United States dollar is probably going to be a little bit stronger than Bitcoin at this point, which goes away from everything that I've said over the course of this last 10 to 15 minutes when it comes down to movement, because I believe that gold is going to get stronger, and I believe that what's happening with the United States dollar index, I think, is going to end up falling first before being able to go up. So all of these kind of tie together. We take a look at it. I think that the United States dollar index is going to end up being somewhat weak before it gets strong. That means that I expect the Bitcoin is going to end up getting stronger, but it's not ready yet. Um, so two areas to be able to pay attention to: 27.5. 27.5 is the new number to be able to pay attention to. 29,000 obviously is that area that has to be broken in order for us to be able to get substantial movement. So new support, I'm going to end up placing that in. I place that as orange. That'll be the area where I will look at being able to jump and get in if this market bounces and holds off of that area. Now, if it makes a quick turnaround, then I'm going to get out. But I look at being able to pop back in right around 27.5, somewhere around there. Okay. Um, let's move forward. This might be a quick one today. US 30. US 30 had a big run at the middle of the month in both directions, to be honest. But currently, right now, we're back inside of that long-term consolidation. Ended up happening from November 22 to where we are now. Basically, done pop back inside of there. From an Ikumoku cloud standpoint, we can see that the market is consolidation. From a box standpoint, we can see that the market is in consolidation. From a volume standpoint, we can see that the market is in a high volume node, which means that there's no trading to be able to take. All three of them are basically showing signs of consolidation. Once again, showing signs of the market is not ready to be able to make a move if you're trying to trade breakouts. If you're a person that trades consolidation, this is a great area to be able to look at support and resistance to be able to get in. The last time we ended up taking a trade off of this, when we took a trade, when the market ended up breaking about 33,640, we were targeting 34, I think 34,250. The market ended up getting about 200 points away from our overall position, or I'm sorry, about 100 points away from our overall position. Then after that started to turn around. We got out of the trade once the market went into consolidation. And currently right now, the market is basically almost back at the starting point of where we end up getting in. So there's really no trade to be able to take. I want to see this market kind of, get itself into a position to where we could see a continuation move, meaning that we're looking for a counter trend line break right here, or this market just continues to fall down to support, which means that it could go all the way back to 33,300. So I'm going to place in our alert, looking for this market to be able to cross up based off of the trend line. And then after that, we'll see how everything kind of goes from there. But until then, kind of like what I said earlier this morning, and it's going to be the trend for, I guess, the trend for the next 5 minutes. There's really no trade to be able to take a look at from the pairs and the ways that, from the things I end up looking at, including what's happening with NAS 100. NAS 100 is in the middle of a consolidation between 12,850 and 13,160. You can place in your orders now. I will place in my buy orders. I place my order at 13,170 with a take profit of 13,480. Stop loss will end up being 13,000. Um, and I'll wait for the market to be able to break from that position. If the market keeps on falling down to the support, I would look at being given place in an order at 12,850 with the expectation that the market is going to end up pushing back up in that area. So watching the market fall, holding this overall support. If it falls down a little bit, hopefully it falls down within this overall range, and then after that, starting to be able to push back up for the buy, and trying to stay in that area. Now, this is assuming, because all of these are tied together, this is assuming that the United States dollar index is going to end up being weak. Because the United States dollar index is going to end up being weak, and that means that, uh, I'm sorry, yeah, United States dollar index is going to end up being weak, and that means that NAS 100 and US 30 are probably end up getting stronger when it comes down to movement. Um, so please keep that in mind. But yeah, that's a quick one. We went through the major pairs that we ended up talking about. No trades this morning. Not surprising. There's really no activity this morning either. When it comes down to stuff, we'll probably end up seeing a little bit more of that going into the latter portions of the week. Automation systems and everything else is fine. Going through testing when it comes down to that. Uh, but like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade your plan. That's each and every one of y'all in tomorrow's video.